You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below. Be sure, smash that like button.
That one in the air out towards right field, and it finds space. First major league hit for Greg Deichmann.
That's how it sounded. A moment that no doubt our next guest will remember forever. Former LSU All-American, now outfielder for the Chicago Cubs. His first career hit on Friday. Hopefully the first of maybe 3,000 or so. Greg Deichmann joins us. Greg, thanks for the time, man. How are you? It seems like a silly question, but how are you?
Oh, man, I'm amazing.
I could certainly understand. This might be the easiest interview you ever do in your life because basically this is just going to be like Uncle Greg's story time. July 27th, you're traded to the Cubs. August 6th, you get your call up and you start. So let's go back to the trade. You're traded from the A's to the Cubs. How did you learn about the trade that day? Did you know it was coming?
No, completely blindsided. I mean, you know the trade deadline's coming up, so you're always kind of looking and just trying to keep up with it, see what the moves are, but you never really know. So I didn't really think anything of me being traded. You know, there's always a possibility, but I was playing in Salt Lake at the time, and it was the eighth inning. I was running out on the field, and my manager calls me back into the dugout, and he goes, "Hey, we heard you just got traded. We don't know who to. You need to go in and call the GM." And I mean, that was pretty much the gist of it. Went in, found out I was dealt to the Cubs, and then they kind of had me pack my stuff, and I flew to Des Moines, Iowa 2 days later.
It's so wild, but like that happens in baseball, where guys you're like literally taken off a field, which is wild to think. So you fly to Des Moines. Like you were only there for a week. Like, did you even get settled in Des Moines?
Doesn't feel like it. Yeah, I mean, I got there, and luckily we were on a 12-game homestand, so I got there 2 days into the first half of the homestand, and then I played 2 games of the second series before I got called up. So yeah, I think I played 4 or 5, 6 games somewhere in there.
Man, what a whirlwind. But I guess this is kind of maybe the catch-22 of getting traded, right? I mean, the team that you were drafted by, the A's, they send you away to Chicago. So in some ways it's a new beginning, but it's also got to be disappointing. But the flip side of it is you went to a team that's in rebuild mode. So when you went to the Cubs, like, was there this thought in your mind, or did the Cubs organization tell you, look, there's a really good chance you're going to get a call up soon?
Well, yeah, after I caught my breath and kind of could, evaluate and see everything that was going on, talking to people and kind of seeing the way the team was, the trades that they had gone through with Rizzo and Brian and Baez, and kind of the return that they got for those guys, and then obviously me for Chafin. It definitely gives you a little more hope. It kind of seems like that door is opening up, but again, it's something that you never actually can think will actually come true until it does. Like still to this day, I know it's only 3 days later, but it still doesn't feel real. So yeah, it was a real opportunity when I got traded, especially like you said, kind of the state that the team was in. But you never think that day is going to actually come, and for it to come as soon as it did was just it left me speechless.
And Greg Deichmann becomes the 21st player under Paul Mainieri to make his major league debut. All right, let's talk about the call up. Then you're playing 5-6 games in Iowa, and then the call comes. Walk us through that.
So I was going out for the game. We were playing at 7:00, and it was probably 6:40 ish, something like that. And I'm just in my locker listening to music, and about to head out, and see our manager come walking in the locker room, and he sees me, and he kind of walks past me. So he's thinking he's looking for someone, and then he walks back, and he looks at me, and he kind of says, "Come here." And so I walk with him into his office, and then he grabs our hitting coach and bench coach, and they come walking in the office. And so now it's going through my mind, is this it? Is this really happening? And he looks at them and he looks at me and he goes, Deichmann's going to the big leagues.
Mm. And your reaction is what?
So just get up and hug them and then fall back in the chair because my legs are shaking and I couldn't stand.
Have you ever had that?
No.
Have you ever had that feeling? Like, can you correlate that feeling to anything else you've experienced in your career?
No, honestly, because everybody remembers, Omaha and stuff and LSU, but it's not no, it's just something that you never think you're gonna hear. You're always hoping for it, and it's what you're working towards. But to hear that it actually come out of someone's mouth to you, and realizing that like this is actually what you've been working for and dreaming of since you were 5, 6, 7 years old. Like when it came out of his mouth, I heard it, but it didn't make sense,
It actually does make sense to hear you say it that way. It's just a surreal moment. Talking with Chicago Cubs outfielder Greg Deichmann. That has to have a really nice ring to it. Follow him on Twitter at Greg_D07. I saw a lot of the pictures from Wrigley, from your debut where your family was there. So you show up to the ballpark on Friday. Like, give me some of first, like your first glimpse of Wrigley, your first time walking into the clubhouse. Like, what are the things that are going to stand out that the stories you'll tell to your kids and grandkids forever?
It was just wild. It was all wild. Flying in, I got on a flight at 7 a.m. Landed in Chicago at 8:30. Had a car pick me up, drove straight to the field. And then they drop you off right there on the curb and walk in and just seeing the tunnel and like just everything for the first time and walking in the locker room and just kind of, again, like it doesn't register as like that you're in the big leagues. Like this is Wrigley Field. And then they kind of walked me around the whole facility and walked up on the steps. And, when I saw the field and stuff for the first time since high school, walking up those steps and seeing it, it's just like, even then, it's just, wow, like, this is cool. But you still feel like a fan. And then just getting out there and playing, Lance Lynn's on the mound. And then, my third at-bat is against Craig Kimbrell. And it's like, I'm really here,
Right.
Like, that's really the ivy out there on the wall. Like, that's really those guys on the mound that I'm facing. Like, that's really me hitting fifth. It's like I said, it's still surreal. It still doesn't like really feel like that.
Was there any disappointment that the first uniform you ever got to wear in a big league game was that gaudy blue alternate Wrigleyville thing, whatever that was?
I like those.
Oh, come on, man. You're talking about one of the most
You don't
iconic.
like those? I know
Look,
it's not traditional, but come on, those are good-looking uniforms.
the Cubs home pinstripes, one of the most iconic uniforms in all of sports. And your debut, you're in that thing, that alternate thing. Your first ever hit, Greg, your first big league hit was in that uniform.
Hey, I got to wear the pins the next day.
Yeah, no, you did. You did. Greg Deichmann for a couple of more minutes. All right, tell me about your first hit. Second at bat, the line drive to right field.
Yep. So my first at bat, he went 4-seam away, missed, 4-seam away, painted. I just fouled one off and missed it, and then he threw a cutter in, and just kind of got on me, and I grounded out to second. And then the next at bat, he goes with the same sequence and throws that same cutter, and I got a little bit more of it and just got it out there in the outfield. It's the hardest one. You get it out of the way in the first game, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. So that obviously something I'll remember forever. First hit at home in Wrigley Field, family and friends in the stands. Just like I said, getting it out of the way in the first game. Couldn't have drew it up any better.
You also got to experience your first rain delay, your first extra inning game, all in your first game. So you're checking a lot of boxes there early on in the career. Last thing, I'll let you run, man. I know y'all get a game today, and your time just so much appreciated. From here for the rest of the season, I mean, I'd say, like, what is the goal? Well, obviously the goal is for you to play really well and never go back down. What are you I don't think you can have like a long-term, maybe you can viewpoint, but like, what is your approach each day as you show up? And And maybe you had those types of conversations with anybody with the big club about what they'd like to see, either short or long term, from you.
Not necessarily. Obviously, the goal is to stay up here for the rest of my career for a long time. Till the game kicks me out. But talking to David Ross the first day, he kept it short and sweet. He's like, only thing I ask is that you go out there and play hard. And my response was, it's no problem at all. It's the way I was raised. It's how I've played my whole career, and it's how I'm going to continue to play. So I mean, day in and day out, it's just going out and competing. That's what I love. I love competition. I love the competitiveness of any situation, whether it's a workout, whether it's a game, whether it's just anything. So that's what's gotten me to this point in my career, and hopefully that's what's going to carry me to the end of it, whenever that is. And so I go out and I just compete every pitch, every play, and that's ultimately what's brought me the success, and that's that's kind of my game plan going forward, and hopefully that keeps me up here the rest of the year and the rest of my career.
Chicago Cubs outfielder Greg Deichmann, the Cubbies at home tonight against the Brewers, a 7:05 Central first pitch. So if you want to catch the Cubbies tonight, you could do so, and you could see a former Tiger there in the outfield at Wrigley. Greg, we're pumped for you, man. I know a lot of people here. I speak for a lot of people that say that. Continued success. We'll be watching, man. Thanks for the time today.
Of course, Matt. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. By the way, the lineup is posted for tonight at Wrigley, and Greg Deichmann is in the starting lineup again. So he will bat fifth. And Taylor, you can take this, please. He will bat fifth and play right field. So Greg Deichmann is in the starting lineup tonight, and it'll be his third opportunity in the show. So he did start 2 of the 3 games since he's been up. Started that debut where he was 1 of 5 in the extra inning loss. Started yesterday on Sunday Night Baseball. Was 1 of 4 in the loss. And now Cubs will try to get their first win. I didn't have the heart to tell him that. I just hope they keep losing. I mean, I want him to do exceptionally well, but you all know I have a bet with our mutual friend Mac Chiwilli over at Traction, and I just need the Cubs to face plant here in the second half. I got to make up, I think, still 10 games. Maybe no, I think it's 10 games on the Cubs. So I need the Yankees to moon, and I need the Cubs to face plant. So I hope Deichmann hits 400 the rest of the way, but the Cubs don't win another game. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.
it's still surreal. It still doesn't really feel like that.
Was there any disappointment that the first uniform you ever got to wear in a big league game was that gaudy blue alternate Wrigleyville thing, whatever that was?
I like those.
Oh, come on, man. You're talking about one of the most
You don't
iconic.
like those? I know
Look.
it's not traditional, but come on, those are good-looking uniforms.
The Cubs home pinstripes, one of the most iconic uniforms in all of sports. And your debut, you're in that thing, that alternate thing. Your first ever hit, Greg, your first big league hit was in that uniform.
Hey, I got to wear the pins the next day.
Yeah, no, you did. You did. Greg Deichmann for a couple of more minutes. All right, tell me about your first hit. Second at bat, the line drive to right field.
Yep. So my first at bat, he went 4